Hey, GLP-1 plus sides community. Before we jump into the podcast, please take the time to leave us a 5-star review on whatever audio platform you're listening to the podcast on. Share your story and how the podcast has helped you. This will help us get referred up in the audio platform so that we can reach more people that need our help, our support, and guidance from our doctors. Help us get loud and change things. Are you interested in understanding GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, or Mounjaro? Then join us on the Plus Sides Cracking the Obesity Code, the groundbreaking podcast helping people change their lives one episode at a time. The Plus Sides podcast is a disruptor. We're breaking down barriers, smashing stereotypes, and sharing inspiring stories that'll leave you feeling informed and empowered. Join us every week to learn from doctors who are specialists around GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, and Mounjaro. They'll provide you with science and facts to validate these incredible stories. But that's not all. We'll also bring you the voices of the GLP-1 Mounjaro TikTok community, real people who face the challenges of obesity-related diseases and disorders and discovered the incredible plus sides of GLP-1 medications. Our episodes are filled with heartwarming stories, laughter, and moments of triumph. You'll connect with our amazing community members who are reclaiming their health and experiencing their fullest lives. Are you ready to embark on a journey of discovery and empowerment? Tune in to the Plus Sides Cracking the Obesity Code, and together we'll change the narrative around obesity and end the stigma. Subscribe now on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and join our incredible community. Let's celebrate the plus sides of life together, because every story deserves to be heard. Every life deserves to shine, and everyone deserves access to expert knowledge and medication. The Plus Sides Podcast. You're not alone. It's not your fault. Hey everyone, before we dive in, I really want to share something personal with you. About, I want to say like 8 to 10 months ago, after losing 100 pounds on GLP-1s and keeping it off for a long time, I started regaining out of nowhere, and I was terrified. But I also started having hot flashes and bouts of crying and snacky cravings and waking up at 3 a.m. unable to go back to sleep. It turns out I was in perimenopause. So I started hormone replacement therapy, which is also called HRT, through a telehealth called Winona that specializes in this. And it changed everything. And now I'm sleeping better. And my hot flashes are all but gone, thank God. And I feel like myself again. And it turns out that you can actually start perimenopause as early as 35. And well, I'm 46 and she's here. HRT has really come a long way, and there's just no need to suffer anymore. So if you're like this and you're in the same boat, you can check out buywinona.com and you can use the link in our link tree to save some money.
Want the fastest working GLP-1? For half the price, Ro now offers FDA-approved weight loss injections cheaper, with results you can see faster. Lose 15% of your weight with the formula from Eli Lilly that hits not one, but 2 hormones to curb hunger and nausea. Weight loss faster, confidence higher, price cheaper. See if you qualify at ro.co/TV.
All right, let's invite on Dr. Michael Albert. Here we go. Welcome.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Albert. Yeah,
Hey,
we're so
welcome.
glad to have you. So, Dr. Albert, I'm sure that you could introduce yourself a little bit better than I can. Can you tell us a little bit about what your specialties are and how you found TikTok and how that's been going, and also how you started focusing on obesity and medications? And that would just be really cool to understand.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. First off, super excited. And that was a wonderful introduction, hearing all your stories and getting to know a little bit more about your lived experiences and how medication and some of the advancements in therapy I'm sure we'll talk about today really changed your lives in a lot of, I think, different ways too, which I thought was really unique, and hearing how each of you related to that experience. But in terms of myself, so I'm an internist. I'm an internal medicine physician by training. I did some additional specialization in obesity, and that was really motivated by, for me, because I saw a few things happening throughout my medical training. And one of those fundamental things was this large, outstanding problem that was underlying a lot of the chronic health issues of Americans, of my patients, was not being addressed. And that was the metabolic disease, that was the disease of obesity, or the obesity-related health issues. They just were being woefully neglected. And it never made sense to me that we focus so much on all of these downstream issues and that we really just turned a blind eye and placed the burden on patients to figure it out and reconcile it themselves. It never made sense to me. And so I really dug a lot deeper during my medical training, and serendipitously through various personal explorations, but as well as my mentors in my training, fell in love with obesity medicine and started treating people the way that I felt like they always deserved to be treated, and had fantastic results. I think a lot of my early patients shared very similar sort of aha moments like you all shared very graciously. So I think for me, it was feeling like I was truly making a difference. I was helping people like I had always signed up to do as being a physician. And I think it sort of has picked up steam as we've reached this sort of inflection point within obesity, where the medications and the interventions and treatment are finally catching up to our evolving understanding of the science of obesity. And we're starting to create and give access to these tools now that are changing people's lives. And that has been so rewarding. And it's been such a privilege to be a part of that whole process. Now, it's not always a clean process, as I'm sure we'll get into some of the nuance there, but it's been really nice to see, because I think along with it, and this kind of feeds into what I do now, which is I run a telehealth medical weight management practice called Accomplish Health. What we're seeing now is there's just this whole dialogue shift around obesity. And while I say it's not 100%, it's not 180 from where it was, it's so much better. It's so much healthier. People are talking about obesity, the disease, and these weight and unhealthy weight in ways that sort of honors and respects people as uniquely separate from their disease and their struggle, but also understands the health implications and the science and how we can start to benefit people and talk about it differently. And I think a way that helps to remove a lot of the stigma and bias that has long plagued people who've really struggled with unhealthy weight. So, I think it's just a really exciting time to be in around this. It's as exciting as it's ever been to be someone who is dealing with this very real health issues or related health issues, because we now have tools, we now have proven tools that are safe and effective. And that's just a wonderful thing, because I know so many people, including many of my followers, I'm sure we'll talk more about sort of the social media aspect, but so many people that I've talked to directly as patients or as followers have said, listen, I've lived an entire lifetime without access to treatment. And this is just a world of a difference. Yeah. Being able to finally have something that, like you said, turns that noise off, helps to correct some of these biological issues. And it feels like a brave new world. And I think that's really special to be a part of.
Yeah, that's awesome.
"20 seconds a week to lose 20% of your weight in a year with diet and exercise. That's the power of GLP-1s through Ro. Ro helps find the medication that's right for you, based on cost, availability, and your weight loss goals. Losing weight with GLP-1s is possible through Ro.
Dr. Albert, you mentioned how obesity medicine has changed over the last 20 years. Could you give us any specifics, things that are great things and things that could need a little improvement, and where is it going in the next maybe 20 years?
Yeah, great question, big question. So I think, I want to break it down into a few parts so it's easier for everyone sort of to wrap their heads around. First off, it's about how we talk about a disease, obesity, the disease, a chronic disease that is, if neglected, like it's historically been neglected or undertreated, can be progressive and can relapse. And so I think this is really important to understand the basics around the science of obesity, that if it is untreated, it can get worse and it can come back, meaning people can do very well in managing the disease, but the disease can keep coming back. And that's part of this larger and broader discussion about obesity. When we talk about obesity now, it needs to be understood through that framework, that it is a long-term chronic health problem that people will live with and have to deal with the rest of their lives. Does not mean they are a victim, does not mean that there aren't things they can do to own it so that they feel like they can take back some of the control, as you guys are alluding to.
Yeah, right.
But it means they need to have that realization that this is going to be something that they will have to deal with in a meaningful way. Now, where the science is headed, where it's been and where it's headed, this is really fun. And I love talking about this because as our understanding has evolved, we know that there are a lot of systems, biological systems that live within us that comprise and make up all that is our sort of weight and our fat and all of these other tissues and organs. And what we know now is that there are particular systems that can influence our weight in meaningful ways. And one of those realizations was through this discovery of this hormone called GLP-1, which has gotten a lot of attention in many of the brand forms like Ozempic, Saxenda. I've heard you guys talk about that today. And that is this, that some of these newer small molecule peptides, these little proteins, if we can give you a sort of artificial or synthetic form of that, it can in many ways heal the body and help the weight system that is not working correctly sort of roll back the hands of time in terms of the way it should biologically function.
Wow.
And as a product of that, by sort of helping the body to heal this broken weight system, people often, and you guys may share this similar experience, will lose weight and get to a much healthier weight in a way that maybe was easier than they ever have historically. And that's because of what? It's because these treatments that we are delivering and many that are coming in the pipeline, these hormonal therapies, what they're doing is helping the body to react normal again, right? React in a more normal sense. And the weight is a product of this fixing of biology. And I think this is a really important point to underscore because it is changing, it's inverting sort of the way people conceive obesity. And that is behavior leads to gaining of weight, and that's why you have obesity. What we know obesity to be true now is that the biological dysfunction, this broken weight system, is driving a lot of the weight gain. And then if you fix the weight system, naturally the weight will settle out in a much healthier level. And so excess weight, unhealthy weight, the weight-related health problems are a consequence of the disease and not vice versa. And so that is flipping the understanding that if we treat the disease, weight follows, but weight in many cases is a byproduct of this biological dysfunction.
Dr. Albert, I am, as I said in the notes about myself, I am a type 2 diabetic, and that's, something that I had to embrace because for the longest, I didn't even want to admit that I was diabetic. But with type 2 diabetes, how are type 2 diabetes and why are type 2 diabetes and obesity so closely related?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think our understanding of the connection between the two has really, really progressed and evolved over the last 10, 15 years. So on some level, type 2 diabetes is a form of obesity. I'll repeat.
Wow.
On some level, type 2 diabetes is a form of obesity. It is what we would call an obesity-related disease. And let me explain that and jump into that a little bit more to provide context. So for the longest time, we understood type 2 diabetes to be come in several variations, but generally to follow this path, that people develop worsening insulin resistance in their body, their blood sugars go up, their insulin levels oftentimes go up as a response to this resistance that's developing in the body. And over long periods of time, often decades, the pancreas, which is the organ that produces insulin, will fail, and those cells that produce insulin will die. And many people with very progressive type 2 diabetes often end up resembling physiologically the way that their biology works, much like a type 1 diabetic over time, which is why we would often say insulin-dependent type 2 diabetes, or what it basically represents a very similar state as type 1 diabetes. Now, why did I say that in many ways, type 2 diabetes is a form of obesity? And that is this. We are understanding obesity and type 2 diabetes to be something a little bit different than what we originally conceived them to be. And that is this. So much of how your body manages and handles energy and fuel is entirely dependent on your genetics. And we know, based upon that handling of fuels or handling of energy, that people will vary in terms of their ability to handle different nutrients, to handle energy storage, handle all of these considerations around metabolism. And some of it varies by ethnicity, some of it varies by sex, by age, so on and so forth. But what we know to be true is that there are some individuals who do not handle the extra storage of energy or fat, because fat is our storage, tissue. They don't manage that or handle that very well. And so what normally happens is anytime someone needs to store energy away, it gets stored in the form of fat in what's called the subcutaneous depots, which a lot of people know. This is your hips, these are your thighs, your legs, your butt, it's all over your body, right? But the ability for your body to handle this storage and to have a storage capacity is mostly determined by your genetics and some other genetic factors. And for some people, that storage capacity is very finite and is limited to a very small amount. And if they reach that storage capacity, their body is no longer able to store fat in a healthy way. And what happens is you get this spillover effect, where fats it begins to be deposited into various organs and causes this effect called lipotoxicity, which we know to be directly involved in the development of type 2 diabetes. And so that type 2 diabetes on some level is due to this sort of development of over fat or excess fat being deposited into other parts of the body. And that's also why we see certain ethnic groups, like people of South Asian descent, develop diabetes and develop what we would call clinical obesity at lower body weights and at lower BMIs. And it's because their genetics do not allow them to manage these metabolic fuels, to manage this energy storage in a way that is very favorable and accommodating. And so type 2 diabetes is a form of insulin resistance, is a form of metabolic derangement. And part of what we know now to be critical and an inciting factor is this lack of storage capacity of the body being overfilled with fat, and the fat then depositing into various organs, which causes a lot of the fundamental dysfunction that we know to be associated with type 2 diabetes. So it is not a surprise that 80% of people with type 2 diabetes also have been identified as having obesity. I would argue it's 100%, because if you were going to identify them based on real clinical measures that we know to be true, not just what we call anthropometric measures, which are very flawed, just looking at BMI and weight, but looking at all these physiologic parameters, then I would argue 100% of the people with type 2 diabetes, or near 100%, shouldn't say 100%, but close to 100% have clinical obesity as well. And type 2 diabetes, for the vast majority of people, are a form of obesity. So that was really a very long-winded answer to sort of your question, but that's how they're related. So when people say you're only treating type 2 diabetes or you're only treating obesity, you're treating what is otherwise very shared biological dysfunction.
Food has definitely been a very dominant voice in my head. That's not the main focus anymore. Dieting, exercising, and adding GLP-1s through Row is a game changer. I have such a sense of mental freedom since I started with Row. Food no longer controls my thoughts. Family time used to revolve around food, and now it revolves around what we're going to go do together.
I can't say it loud enough. I can't overemphasize it enough. It's time to change the narrative. Obesity is a disease. It's not something to be ashamed of. No. It's something that we can all embrace and take our own sort of level of responsibility in managing head on. And us as medical providers and as healthcare providers need to take it upon ourselves to be willing collaborators. I think to be open to the idea that maybe our conceptions around this whole concept were wrong for many years. And I think I think that's going to really help move the dialogue forward, is saying, hey, I'm willing to learn. I want to work with you. I want you to get better. We want to have, because it's gonna be important for all of us to be part of this journey together and to move it forward. So I think it's wonderful, and I will not emphasize it enough. I will, until people get sick and tired of hearing me, I will keep saying obesity.
Oh no, say it then too.
Disease. Absolutely.
Say it loud for the people in the back.
Yes, louder.
Exactly.
Let me tell you a quick story. I was telling Kat how I was regaining weight after my 100-pound loss using GLP-1 medications, and I was having snacky cravings and waking up at 3 a.m. and I had hot flashes, and I was worried. But Kat was like, listen, I went through this last year. It's perimenopause, and I started HRT, and she used this company called Winona. So I started going there to see if this was something that was going with me. Turns out it was, because I'm 46. And it's been amazing. It's taken a while to find the right dose, but once I did, it's just been huge. I've been sleeping. I feel more myself again. And the hot flashes are gone, which is, geez, really bad. So I will tell you, it's just been so big for me. And so I wanted to partner with them on the podcast because obviously many of our listeners are going through the same age range and definitely are having these issues. And there's just no need for you to suffer. So if you go to the link that's in our link tree, you can click on that and save money. If you go there and you meet all the criteria, this might be something for you to try. So I just want to make sure you had this great resource because it's just been such a big difference for me and Kat. Again, you can go to the link in our link tree and get what you need. Today's episode is brought to you by Ro, a telehealth platform that's changing the game of GLP-1 access. What sets Ro apart? Ro understands the challenges of navigating insurance hurdles and the skyrocketing prices of GLP-1 medications. That's why they specialize in getting insurance approvals for GLP-1s. And if insurance is a barrier, they go a step further by prescribing brand name zepbound vials for prices close to those of compound GLP-1s. With Ro, you're not just getting a prescription, you're getting a partner in your journey that's helping you access affordable treatment and guiding you every step of the way. Whether it's insurance approvals or cost-effective alternatives, Ro is here to make sure that you get the medication you need. Visit ro.co/plussides with a Z today to see how they can help you take control of your weight management journey with affordable, accessible care. That's ro.co/plussides with a Z, making healthcare work for you. Check out the link in our show notes for more details. Are you interested in understanding GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, or Mounjaro? Then join us on the Plus Sides Cracking the Obesity Code, the groundbreaking podcast helping people change their lives one episode at a time. The Plus Sides podcast is a disruptor. We're breaking down barriers, smashing stereotypes, and sharing inspiring stories that'll leave you feeling informed and empowered. Join us every week to learn from doctors who are specialists around GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, and Mounjaro. They'll provide you with science and facts to validate these incredible stories. But that's not all. We'll also bring you the voices of the GLP-1 Mounjaro TikTok community, real people who face the challenges of obesity-related diseases and disorders and discovered the incredible plus sides of GLP-1 medications. Our episodes are filled with heartwarming stories, laughter, and moments of triumph. You'll connect with our amazing community members who are reclaiming their health and experiencing their fullest lives. Are you ready to embark on a journey of discovery and empowerment? Tune in to the Plus Sides Cracking the Obesity Code, and together we'll change the narrative around obesity and end the stigma. Subscribe now on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and join our incredible community. Let's celebrate the plus sides of life together, because every story deserves to be heard. Every life deserves to shine, and everyone deserves access to expert knowledge and medication. The Plus Sides Podcast. You're not alone. It's not your fault.